Hello, this is Sarah from the Mount Airy branch of the Carroll County Public Library. Thanks for joining me for Digital Collections Bootcamp this afternoon. Today, we will be talking about borrowing e-magazines. CCPL's digital collections are available by hovering over Collections on the home page and then clicking the link for the collection you are interested in browsing. To get started, we will click eBooks and Digital Content, which is located in the Digital Collections area. From here, you will see a list of the available collections. To learn about borrowing e-magazines, we will be exploring the collections available through both RB Digital, which is down here, as well as the Maryland Digital e-Library site. RB Digital is the main collection we use to borrow e-magazines. Let's scroll down a little bit and we'll find the link to RB Digital. Just so you know, this also used to be called Zinio. So if you had an account with Zinio, you can log into the RB Digital app using those credentials. So RB Digital used to be called Zinio. So anyway, let's click on the RB Digital Magazines app here and get started. So when we open RB Digital, we can see we're presented with a whole host of magazines that we can check out. The first time you use RB Digital, you're going to have to create a new account. So to create that account, you're going to have your library barcode number handy and also know your password. So you'll come up here to the right hand side, click create new account. Once you enter your library card number or barcode, you'll be prompted to enter your name as well as an email address and password that's specific to your RB Digital account. So the next time you log in, you'll log in using the email address you provided and the password you set up for RB Digital. So it's a login that's specific to RB Digital, much like how we have the Hoopla accounts for Hoopla Digital. So I already have myself logged in another window, so let me go ahead and pull that up. You can see since I've logged in, it's welcoming me. There's a drop-down menu here. We're going to go over some of these options, my preferences in my magazine collection in particular. But let's take a look and sort of get a broad view of what it looks like in RB Digital. The first thing you'll see is you can display different numbers of magazines. Really, it depends on how big you'd like to see, how much you want to be scrolling down the page. It defaults, I believe, to 12 so that, there's not too much. You'll just have lots of next items to have to click down here at the bottom. Instead of a long scroll down, you'll just have more pages. So that's something to keep in mind as to what you prefer. Right now, I think we only have magazines in English. So here where it says all languages, if there were other languages that the e-magazines were available in, you could select that there. Genres is really nice because it groups the different magazines that we have available into different genres. So for instance, if you are interested in automotive related magazines, you'll see we have Car and Driver, Motor Trend, Road and Track, or another area that people find really useful is crafts. So there's a lot of different crafting magazines here. Card making, knitting, beadwork, crochet. So, and the other collection that's really great is the food and cooking. So Cooks Illustrated is in here, Cooks Country. So if you've ever watched America's Test Kitchen on PBS, Food Network magazine, clean eating, gluten free. So there's a whole bunch of different magazines that are available in a wide range of genres. So I would definitely check that out. There's even there's children's magazines as well, so highlights in National Geographic Kids. So the kids aren't left out either. There's lots of choices for everyone in your family. I'm going to go back to RB Digital Magazines, just the main page, the link here, and show you how you would select a magazine to check out and then some of the things you can do once you've selected that magazine. So since I'm at home, I'm thinking maybe I'd like to try to get a few new recipes under my belt. So I'd like to try a magazine and see what's going on, what we have available in food and cooking. So I'll click all genres here and then click food and cooking, which will show me the different magazines available. Let's say I want to get Cooks Illustrated. I'd like to check out that issue. I can go ahead and click on it. It'll give me some information about the magazine itself as well as the date of the issue. So this is from May 1st, 2020. I would click this to check that out, and I'll show you that. There's also an option to automatically check out the next issue. So if you find a magazine you really like, that's a really great way to make sure you're always getting the newest issue added to your collection. So I think I'm going to actually want that. I've had this magazine in print before, but it's been a while, but I know it's really useful. So I'll automatically check out the next issue. And I'll click check out now. It's going to take just a minute to check the magazine out to me. And once it's done so, I'll be able to read it in my browser, or if I have downloaded the RB Digital app to my mobile device, my smartphone, my tablet, I could read it through there as well. So I am really interested in reading this newest issue. I want to check it out. I'm going to go ahead and click Start Reading. It'll open in a new tab here at the top. As you can see over here are the controls on the left. If I click here, I can see the table of contents. I can see it by pages or by articles, so that's really nice. If I know a specific article, if I want to go to the science of stir frying in a wok, I can click right there and pop right to that article. If I set any bookmarks as I'm reading, I would click that as well. A PDF view just gives a different layout, so you'll see 2 pages at once. Or I click here to go back to text view, which is sort of the standard. And then here I can change the size of the text. You can change the background. So if glare is an issue and you don't like the bright white behind you, you can change it to more of a sepia background. Yeah, and then you'll see there's arrows here on the right and the left. So as I read, I can click through there. I'll scroll down, read my article, get all that information. So that's really cool. It's really nice to read in the browser. And if I was cooking, as long as I had a shield in front of my computer, I could just have this open while I was working on it. Or if I had a tablet and I was reading it on the app, I could work through it right as I was cooking. So it's a really scalable way to read. I'm going to click out of that tab, and we'll go back to this Cooks Illustrated section. So once I've checked it out, that magazine will appear in my collection, and I'll show you my collection in a minute. But one thing I want to make a note of is that back issues are also available. So here, if I click show more back issues, you have access to quite a range of information. So if you get into a magazine later and you want to read back issues, you can do so, which is really awesome. So here, this one's got a coconut on the front. That looks pretty cool. I can click here just to check it out right now without looking at the details if I want to, or I could open it the other way I did just a minute ago. And again, I can start reading, or I can keep browsing. I would choose to keep browsing right now. So when you check out a magazine, it gets added to your collection. So here up in the right-hand corner, I see my collection. Also, next to the little person icon, if I scroll down here, my magazine collection. Those are the same thing. So I'm going to click on my magazine collection, and these are the magazines that I have checked out and the specific issues. So I can always access the magazines once they're in my collection. The magazines don't have a checkout period. I don't know if you noticed, but it didn't say you've got this borrowed until the date of X. That's because once you check out a magazine, it is always available in your collection until you remove it. So let's say I read this Kitchen Garden magazine. I wasn't too into it, so I don't think I'm going to want to keep it for later. There wasn't any information I'd want to go back to. I can go ahead and click remove. And it'll say, are you sure? That'll remove the issue from your reading collection. Yes, I'm sure I don't want to use it, so I'm going to go ahead and click OK. But again, that's the really nice thing, especially with these cookie magazines or the craft magazines. If you find a craft or a recipe that you're really interested in, you can keep that magazine checked out as long as you want it. It doesn't expire. And once you've checked out, you always have access to it until it's removed from your collection. So that is a really nice feature. And I can easily review the magazines that I've set to automatically check out the newest issue. If I, again, click the arrow here next to the person icon and select my preferences, I can see here at the top, these are all the magazines listed that are available. I can see that I've set Cooks Illustrated to automatically check out the next magazine, and I did that when I hit that checkbox there. Another way I can do it is by selecting the title from here. So let's see, kitchen garden. Let's say I, just for an example, if I click add all, this is now added to my selection of magazines I'd like to be automatically checked out. If I decide I don't like that, like I had just removed kitchen garden from my collection for that very reason, maybe I wasn't too into it, I can click the minus sign here and it will be removed from my list of magazines to automatically be checked out. The important thing to remember is once you've made changes, to click update down here at the bottom so that, and you'll get confirmation that your changes were saved. So that is very important. Okay, we'll go back here to RB Digital Magazines, the main collection. And those are sort of the tips and tricks as to how to check out these magazines. I would definitely take a look, see if there's something that strikes your fancy. Here's HGTV magazine. I'll go ahead and click on that. Again, if I know I'm definitely going to want that next issue, I'll go ahead and select that option, and I can check out back issues as well. So it's a really robust collection. There's lots of magazines to choose from. You can read them in the browser, or there are also apps available. And I have a section later in this session that tells you how to find the apps. But that's RB Digital. It's a great collection. Check it out, and let us know what you think. The eMagazine collection available through Maryland's digital e-library site isn't quite as extensive as that through RB Digital, but it is really convenient, especially if you are already using the digital e-library site to check out ebooks or e-audiobooks. As I mentioned in the ebooks and e-audiobooks session of Digital Collections Bootcamp, oftentimes you will hear staff refer to the digital e-library site by the apps that we use to access this site. Those apps are Overdrive and Libby. So just so you know, if you've ever heard someone say, oh, find that in Overdrive, that means essentially you're looking for it in the digital e-library site, but the Overdrive or Libby app is what you would be used to accessing the content once you check it out. So let's take a look. So I'm going to click on the Maryland Digital e-library site, and you'll see that that will open to the main page. As we suggested when we talked about ebooks and audiobooks, the first thing we suggest you do is sign into your account. So I'm going to click sign in right here. You'll sign in using your Carroll County Library card barcode, so the numbers on the back of your library card with no spaces, and then your PIN. The PIN you use for the digital e-library site is the same as the PIN you use to manage your CCPL account online, or that you would also use when you're in the branch using the self-check. So I actually have an account open in another window. Let me go ahead and pull that up and we can take a look. So here we are. We can see it says my account here, so that means I've logged into my account. The first thing I like to check before I start borrowing e-magazines from the digital site is make sure that I've given myself the maximum amount of time to check those magazines out. If you go to my account and go to settings, you can take a look at the default lending period that you have set up for each type of material. So you'll see, and we talked about in the ebook and the e-audiobook session that I made sure those were set to 21 days. You'll see the last option here is magazine. I'm also going to set that to 21 days. And when I do that, I don't know if you noticed, but it said saved up here at the top. So now I know that I've got the same 3-week checkout for my magazines that I would have for my books. One of the nicest things about eMagazines through the digital eLibrary site is that they're always available. So let's go back home and let me show you how to get to the magazines. The easiest way is click the arrow next to collections here, and then you'll see there's a whole section for magazines. You can click to review the magazines that were just added, or if you click see all enables you to see all the magazines that are available. So these are all the magazines that are available to check out from here within Maryland's digital eLibrary site. Again, this content is always available, so you'll see everything all says available, 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 and gives me the borrow symbol. That's really nice. Another really cool thing is that the e-magazines you check out here in the digital site do not count towards the checkout limit. So, for instance, if I wanted to check out this issue of the Oprah magazine, I would go ahead and click borrow. It's going to default to the 21 days that I selected. I'll hit borrow, and it says the Oprah magazine is checked out to you, and it gives me the date, and it reminds me magazines don't count towards your checkout limit. You can still borrow 5 more titles. So that means that if I go back and look at my account at the loans, and I'll show you, I had 1 ebook or e-audiobook already checked out, and so that would give me 5 more titles since the limit per month is 6. But because magazines don't count towards my limit, even though I have 2 things checked out, I still have 5 items that I can borrow because the magazines don't count towards that limit. Now, if I wanted to read the magazine right away, I can click read now in the browser, and you'll see it opens a new tab up here at the top, and I can click, I'm just clicking on the right hand side, and I can click through and I can read the magazine. So here's the different content and everything. I can go ahead and click through and do that. So I'm done. I'm just going to X out of that tab that opened up. Now I'm going to go out of here as well. So you can read right in the browser, or you can also read using the Overdrive or Libby apps. And I have a section later on in this session that tells you how to get to the apps so you can download them for your mobile device, your smartphone, or your tablet. But let's go here so I can show you the checkout limit thing and how magazines don't take away from that. If I go to my account and then I click loans, I can see I can borrow 5 more titles. So since the limit is 6, this one audiobook here, this counts towards my limit of 6, but the magazine didn't. So that's really cool. So keep in mind, if you check out magazines through the digital e-library site, they're always available and they do not count towards your limit of 6 materials that you can have checked out. And they are able to be read in those apps for your mobile devices. So that's how to get to the magazines or the e-magazines in the digital e-library site. Again, it's under collections, and I go to magazines and see all. Sometimes I have to click see all again there really quick, and then you can check it out. You can search by subject here on the left. You can search by the date it was added, so you can get the most recent copies. You can see what's available now, well, which is everything. And you can click by general. It's mostly an adult audience that these are for right now. So give it a whirl and have fun. CCPL makes it easy to find the apps you need to borrow e-magazines from home. Hover over Collections and then in the Digital Collections area, click Download Our Apps. Here you'll find a table with information and links to click to get to the apps you need for your specific device. Remember, for eMagazines, you might be using either the RB Digital app or the Libby or Overdrive app if you're accessing the magazines available through the Maryland Digital eLibrary.